Welcome and good morning. This is the County of Oswego Industrial Development Agency public hearing for the Beck Hotel project based on an application from Lake Ontario RE Holdco LLC, the applicant and project sponsor. I'm Kevin Lamontagne, the Chief Financial Officer of the IDA. We have a number of guests here who have signed in. Thank you for attending. I will read a project description and then give you an overview of the benefits the company has applied for, and then we'll open it up for questions and discussion. Lake Ontario RE Holdco LLC, DBA Beck's Historic Hotel, on behalf of itself or an entity to be formed or formed by it or on its behalf, submitted an application to the agency requesting the agency consider undertaking the project. The project consists of A1, the acquisition of a leasehold interest in approximately 1/3 acres of real property located at 3302 Main Street, with the tax map number indicated, in the Village of Mexico, County of Oswego, State of New York, an existing approximately 12,000 square foot vacant 2-story building located thereon. A2, the renovation of the existing building to contain A, on the ground floor restaurant and cafe space, which such portion is to be leased and subleased by the agency to the company, and further subleased by the company to one or more third-party tenants. And B, on the second floor, 2 residential rental units and 3 short-term stay hotel-style accommodation units, together with related site improvements. All the foregoing collectively the facility. A3, the machinery, equipment, and personal property not part of the equipment, and assistance in the form of exemptions for real property taxes, real estate transfer taxes, mortgage recording tax, and state and local sales tax. And C, the lease of the land and the facility by the company to the agency pursuant to a lease agreement, the acquisition of an interest in the equipment pursuant to a bill of sale, and the sublease of the project facility back to the company pursuant to a sublease agreement. The company will be the initial owner of the project facility. The agency has not made a decision with respect to the undertaking of the project or the granting of financial assistance. That will be considered at the IDA meeting scheduled for tomorrow at 1 p.m. at our office. The IDA's office is at 44 Westbridge Street in the city of Oswego. I'll give a quick overview here of the benefits the company has applied for. The company has applied under our basically our pilot program or exemption program for the 3 parts of the package, which is start with the smallest one first. It's a mortgage recording tax exemption of $25,000. This assists the company with the costs incurred when the mortgage is filed for the financing. Sales tax exemption of $120,000. This is an exemption of full 8% state and county sales tax for materials, furniture, and fixture equipment that's purchased for the project. Construction materials included. And then the last item is the longest term part, which is the pilot. This will be a 10-year pilot. The design of the pilot does not reduce tax income to the taxing authorities. It starts the initial pilot. It does not reduce from current tax income, I should say. The pilot is structured where there's a base assessment, that's the current assessment of the property. That is through the pilot payment once a year. That is essentially taxed through the pilot invoice at normal tax rates. And then any increase in assessment based on this project will be taxed on the 10-year declining abatement schedule. So at the end of the 10 years in year 11, they get a full normal tax for the assessed improved property. So those are the 3 aspects of the benefits. And again, the IDA will meet tomorrow, and this is on the agenda, so we anticipate it to be most likely approved. And that's the direction things are headed. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions. If you just speak clearly for the camera, I appreciate it.
Jim Hatch, I don't understand the lease.
Yeah, okay, I should explain that because there's quite a bit of language in here. So the basic way this works when the IDA instills benefits on a project, maybe I could say how it used to work, which would make more sense. It used to be a buy and lease back. So in the past, the IDA years ago, the IDA would take title to a property on paper, recorded, but it was a ownership without any liability, and then release it back to the company, which the company then assumed all the liability. Nowadays, in more modern times, the lease.
And that lease would go on for
the length of the pilot. So in this case, it'd be a 10-year. Every lease is a paper lease, but this is a lease that has really, we don't get involved in the operation of the business. We don't take on any risk, any responsibility for debt payments, water, sewer payments, anything like that. There's no no liability to the IDA, but by taking a position in the title by way of this lease, we're allowed to, that's basically the legal mechanism that allows us to exempt the property using the IDA's exemption with a 412A exemption, and then we, instead of it being tax-free like if the IDA just owned it outright, there would be no tax, but the pilot agreement, then the IDA collects the money, as you know, every March, and then remits it within 10 days, or within 2 weeks to the taxing authorities.
So it's a mechanism so that everything works.
Correct.
How you want it to work.
The same thing, there's language in the description I read about a bill of sale of the company for equipment and such. That's also the way that the IDA can use sales tax, provide sales tax exemption to the project, where while Lake Ontario RE Co. LLC will certainly buy, say, windows, there's a bill of sale basically that says anything that they purchase for the project, really they're buying it on behalf of the IDA. Therefore, the IDA can use its tax exemption for this project. The sales tax exemption is only for the project itself. It's not intended to be to buy, food for the restaurants and toilet paper for the hotel rooms and that kind of thing. It's just to get the project complete. But it could be used for decor items and other things, even hotel rooms, which are small appliances, kitchen equipment. Yeah. So that's the lease back, and then in this case, there's another step of lease language because Lake Ontario RE Holdco intends to lease the restaurant spaces to an operator. So that's a sublease. So the way those leases are stacked is Lake Ontario RE owns the property, they lease it to the IDA. IDA leases it back to RE Holdco, then the company leases it to restaurant operator, which is technically a sublease. So it's a stack of legal leases that are drawn up by our attorneys and things. That's one of the reasons this is so expensive for you guys.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions or discussion?
When do we get an opportunity to see some renderings, some drawings?
So we're in the process of doing that. So we're probably at least 30 days to 60 days out for that. We're going back and forth with our architect, trying to figure out the exact design and stuff that we're doing. It's going to be similar. I don't know if you've seen it with the previous owner. We have some previous owner had some drawings done. It's going to be similar, but they were incomplete, so we're working on getting a complete rendering of the floor plans and stuff.
Now, it's a historic building. Are you going to be able to get some relief, tax rebates or reimbursement for doing historic?
Correct. We are working with different historic attorneys as well as accountants to make sure that all comes into play for us as
And
well. So.
The parks folks, state parks?
Yep, so we've been in contact with all of them for the last few months.
Good.
Yep.
Because they're picky.
They are. We are making sure we are following those rules to a T.
Yeah.
Trust me.
And there's some grant funding in some of those requirements.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
The prior owner had obtained that's
Correct.
been transferred or in the process of being transferred.
Good. Do you have a time frame for completion?
We are aiming right now for June 2026. Obviously, everything has to come into play there. We're trying to get in and out. We want it up and running. We're anxious. We started kind of doing these plans before we closed and everything like that. So we've hit the ground running. As you've seen, 7 dumpsters coming in and out of the parking lot. We've done a lot of cleanup that was necessary. We're just getting it back down to nothing so we can go in and start the actual renovation.
I'm assuming you're going to try to keep the exterior somewhere close to the period, correct?
Yeah, we want to keep it as close to period as possible. We're talking about redoing the front porch on it, trying to get that back to the original condition. So that's our goal.
Including the second floor on the porch?
We're going to try to do that, yes.
You're not going to go back to a 3-story building?
No, I haven't seen those, but no.
We have to draw the line somewhere. So
Have
we're
you
just
seen
working on
those?
it.
No,
No, we didn't know there were
I've
3.
got a hand drawing of the 3-story building.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Will you need to put an elevator in it or some type of ADA?
So currently, no. now, that we're seeing with the laws and requirements, because it's a historical building in the direction we're going, we do not, we plan on doing ADA for the restaurant, part of it, absolutely. But at this point, our understanding is we do not have to do that for the upstairs.
The lobby or apartments upstairs, be a walk up.
Correct.
Kevin, can you briefly describe what the pilot arrangement would be for the
Yes.
taxing jurisdictions?
Yeah, so the normal tax today, the total tax on the property is fairly low. It's 3,000, it's about 3,200 a year. But then I don't, in front of me, I don't have the split by the
Yeah.
village, town,
Yeah.
school district, et cetera.
That's-
But that's,
that's
whatever
total.
the current tax, yeah. And then the pilot payment on average will be just over 15, well, so when I give you this number, we've estimated that the assessment will increase somewhat, but that's a guess, that is a guess. So we make estimates on what the future pilot payment will be based on an estimate of the assessment. And that's really not, that's not our call, we don't get involved with assessments.
Right.
The town assesses here in the village, so, but any increase in assessment, so anything that would cause those taxes that's currently being received increase, like an increase in assessment, or an increase in tax rate. So the way any increase in assessment is alleviated by 60% in the first 4 years, and then 40%, and then 50% in the next 4 years, and then it drops each year after that to bring it down to 0 over the 10-year period. So it starts at 60% and declines from there, and that's only on an increase. So if the tax is doubled, the taxing authorities in that first period of time, the first section of the 10-year pilot would only get 60%. Sorry, it's a 60% abatement. I didn't mean to confuse myself. It's a 60% abatement. So the taxing authorities would receive 40% of any increase in assessment each, and then we bill pilots by March 1st, and they're due by March 31st. So then we remit to the school district, village, et cetera, right after that, basically that 10-day, just to make sure the check clears. So the existing tax remains, and then any increase is subject to this abatement schedule, starting at the 60% abatement, but then it drops off each year after that, bringing their tax expense up through the pilot payment, not through tax bills, but then at the end of the 10 years, they're at full. In year 11, again, last year the abatement is 10%, and then year 11 is at full tax. We removed the exemption, and then it just goes back to regular taxable tax rules.
Is there a chance they can renew the pilot with you?
We don't do pilot renewals per se unless there was some major expansion. So we have extended or reset pilots, but we've actually talked to the Furlongs and Jamie about this. I mean, there isn't really an opportunity to significantly expand this project, so there's not room that they might add a wing with 6 or 8 hotel rooms or anything like that. But if there was, that would be a possibility. Reset, enjoy, go through new application and everything, public hearing, but potentially enjoy additional sales tax exemptions for expansion, and then a reset pilot. But we don't, I think it's safe to say we don't anticipate that in this case. The project kind of is in the footprint it's in at the moment. Never know what may happen down the road. So if something else was required,
You want to buy that adjacent building and turn it into a banquet facility or something?
we would consider that or expansion.
Are those terms available on your website? Or?
Yeah, I could email them to you if you'd like.
Okay. Or maybe you already have for the mayor. I don't know.
So this pilot file follows our what we call the universal tax exempt policy. So we have a policy for that on our website. We haven't sent any specific detail to the mayor, but I could certainly provide that, like the exemption schedule. And then our estimate of the assessment really isn't. We have to calculate a value of these benefits, but it's a guess, and I don't want to prejudge what the assessor might do. But I could be higher or low, but I could certainly provide that exemption schedule.
Well, he sounded like he knew.
We did talk to them, and so Austin Wheelock, our executive director, and I talked to the mayor sometime last week. So we had gone through it, and he was fairly comfortable with what we had discussed. I believe. I mean, I think he had a good handle on it.
Right. And I'm also here for the school Francisco School
Yes, I
District.
understand, two hats on.
Yeah, so I don't know, I mentioned it to our superintendent, I don't think she was gonna mention it to our school attorney, I don't know, he or any others have contacted you.
I haven't heard anything from the school, but I'm happy to take
Okay,
this discussion,
all right,
so
I'll
I can schedule
let
a
them
time
know.
or, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
good,
absolutely.
thank you.
Happy to do that, and also with the village or town, you know, anyone might have questions.
Okay.
It's, like I said, the meeting is tomorrow, there's not a lot of time before the meeting, but even after the fact, we have
Right.
to discuss. So, one thing for sure is the property will pay a normal school tax bill this September. The assessment isn't gonna be, even if it went up, it won't take effect till next year anyway, so it'll be a normal state tax bill in a couple months. There will be a, normal village bill in January, in June, so.
And town is in
Yeah, so town and county would be normal in January of 26, and we'll have this closed, so the June village bill would be affected by this pilot. But again, depending on when the assessment increase might happen, we'll work with the furlongs actually on when the pilot's effective. The fastest it would be effective would be that village bill in June, and then the following school bill, because it would be in place by March 1st of 2026, by the assessment effective date. If, depending on how the project's going though, we will work with the furlongs. We might push the start date of the pilot out 1 year, depending on when you're finished, when they think it might be reassessed. We do that basically to help the project get as much of the benefit of the pilot as possible. Because if we start the pilot a year before the assessment increases, it's something of a wasted year of all this effort we're going through. So, and it's a burden to the company. So it may actually not start until the village bill of 27. Is it, you know, depending on when that might be, where you are when that March next spring rolls around for reassessment. If that's not going to happen until 27, we would push the start date out. But we would close the pilot relatively soon to be able to give you the sales tax exemption, but then just have a later start date. So we should, Jamie and Pat, we should think about that, talk about that. But it's not for now, it's a closing matter, but it'll come up fast.
Yep. Does the IDA have any grant money in the project? Or?
We don't, no grant money or financing. There is other, with the Restore New York grant, potential, they're working through, they look into store property tax credits at the state and federal level. Those are the two.
Will you ever work out something on the parking lot?
So we currently have a lease with the parking lot.
Oh, a lease.
With a lease with the current owner, yeah.
Is that gonna turn into a purchase or?
I would like it to.
You'd like to.
It's, yeah.
Well, part of the dilemma is he owns the other building that
Yeah.
has tenants to it.
Correct.
Yes.
So he's using part of the parking lot for the tenants.
Are you involved at all in the property across the street, the Floyd's property?
No, we did not purchase that. I'm not sure who purchased that through the tax auction.
Yeah, I understand it was bought out. I don't know if that was completed or not, that sale.
I don't know.
I'm not certain. When we spoke to the mayor, we made us aware of the same thing, but I'm not sure what the intentions might be.
Is that a nice spot for some parking?
Yeah.
Municipal parking.
We attempted, but we went above the, very well.
Yeah, I heard they got up to 18,000. Is that about right?
Oh, right, yeah.
That's what I heard as well. Just don't know. When we close the pilot also for the school's information, we do we'll send a pilot agreement with the schedule.
Okay.
That'll have the start year, the tax year, or school year, as it starts indicated. So I think sitting here thinking more about it would probably be start for the 27 school bill. I'll let you.
In any case, it's not gonna decrease from what it is today.
Correct. Yeah. It'll change the timing because the pilots will pay for the schools. It's most impactful, I think. Instead of getting your money for this property in September, schools get it in March. So there's a delay. We anticipate that all the tax authorities will receive additional abating with the pilot.
Oh, sure.
Certainly.
That's good for everybody.
Okay.
Really.
It is wonderful to see this property in this location, corner of two state highways and the
It's a long time.
So, yeah.
Dan, thank you. Thank you enough for jumping in some.
Yeah. Quite an undertaking, but it'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, we've seen other successes in other.
Yeah, oh yeah.
potential's there.
We feel very confident and we want to be here.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll, since we're talking this detail, I'll mention too, Pathfinder Bank deserves some credit for supporting the project.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm not out ahead of my skis, but I think
We're working with that.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Anything else?
If you need $20 or so, I'll help you.
Well,